Welcome to the AI Applied Podcast. Listen, today we're talking about video. Boy, the videos are coming fast and furious, but the really interesting one that's just come out is Midjourney, right? And so much to get into around this, especially because they've just been sued by Disney and everybody else. But before we get into that, we are getting into it because Jaeden loves the video stuff. I just have to point out, guys, if you have not gone to aibox.ai, please go there. I think that people are really missing out. This is a public service announcement. Jaeden has been working on this for probably a couple of years now. But the coolest thing about AI Box is that it's $20 a month for all the models. The reason I love it so much is that I pay for Grok, Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Copilot. I pay for everything. But even by paying for everything, the problem is that I never know exactly which one to go to. I kind of like test out different models at different times. The thing I love about AI Box, and I'm deeply serious, I would always support Jaeden no matter what he did. Don't care. But this is actually unbelievable because you can actually compare answers right next to each other. There's little tabs you compare image models, everything. $20 a month. It's unbelievable. It's blowing up, which I'm so happy for him on. Anyway, back to it. Jaeden, I know you love to talk about Midjourney and videos. What do you have on this?
Okay, so one thing I would say is like Midjourney is kind of like the cream of the crop when it comes to image generation. I have my qualms with them for over the years, doing things only on Discord and whatever. And they've kind of fixed that a little bit. Now they do have a desktop app. And so like sometimes I get upset about like where the tool is hosted and how it's kind of a little bit more difficult to use and less accessible. But you can't argue with the fact that the quality of what they're actually able to create is really phenomenal. And so what's interesting is they've now launched their first video generator. It's called V1. And what's cool here is I think in the past, a lot of these video generators, even you're looking at ones from Google, OpenAI, like a lot of times, for example, for the Google one, you would take like an image that you already had and you could plug it into the Google model and they'd turn it into a video, which was super cool. But Google's image model wasn't as good as Midjourney. So what ended up happening was a lot of people would generate images on Midjourney and then they'd go and plug it into Google and generate great videos. So Midjourney is now kind of, I feel like, taking that back where you're able to generate an image on Midjourney and then you are able to turn it into a video over on the platform. I've been really impressed by the quality of what they're actually able to do. I was on X today looking at some like samples and you're able to do a lot of really creative things where it's like you literally can't get this video any other way without intense editing, et cetera, et cetera. So someone was showing off a bunch of examples, which I'll scroll through if you're watching on
Yeah, these are awesome, by the way.
if you're on
If you're watching,
Spotify
yeah.
or on YouTube, you can see the video. Otherwise, we'll just explain for everyone on Apple. But yeah, there's like a video where there's like a mosaic overlaid on someone's face, which is really interesting. There's one where it's like a person and there's like the light reflecting from like a computer screen with like tons of pixelation. They said the prompt was television screen projection with glitches,
Oh
and
my
it's just
gosh, it's
so
incredible.
freaking good.
It's so
Um,
good.
they had another one that was interesting where they said the camera is shaking and jittering. So there's like a person in water, but the camera itself is like actually moving around, which is interesting if you're trying to make footage that looks like more realistic, like you're running through someplace. They had one where there was multiple television screens, which was kind of interesting. So there's like a person sitting there and there's a whole bunch of TV screens in the back, but all of the TV screens have things playing on them. So it's like videos with videos inside of them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Um, then of course we get into like the really interesting sci-fi stuff where it's like someone made fingernails. So someone has like, fingernails, but all of the fingernails are television screens. So it's like, you know what I mean? These are really interesting
So
concepts that like
nuts.
some indie filmmaker is not able to just crank out very easily, right? And
Yeah.
they look very realistic, very interesting. Someone did glitched LED face with distortion. They did a low frame rate with glitching. It's like a person with a screen for a face that looks kind of crazy. One that's cool that I actually think is quite
I know.
useful. A lot of these AI models struggle with like the physics of what's going on, and so they
Yes.
were able
Yep.
to do one where it's called multicolored caustics. But essentially, what that is you've probably seen it. Like if someone is underwater in a film, the light reflecting from the
Yeah. Yeah.
surface
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
water onto their face and the way it moves, it's pretty dang difficult to duplicate. And Midjourney has crushed that, so that's really impressive. So,
Yep.
anyways, whole bunch of really interesting things. A lot of like underwater liquid distortion. They did
No,
one where it's a time delayed double exposure. It's just all this stuff that like for a videographer you would really want some of these really fancy things. Most people don't even know what they're called, and it's capable of doing the physics for
Okay,
all of
so a
them.
couple big points on this. So first of all, you're right. Midjourney just does hit a little different, and I think it's because, and I think Ethan Mollick was saying this too, is that you can just sort of say, and as Jaden is pointing out right there, you can just sort of say it in different styles. You know, that kind of like glitchy Max Headroom if you're that old, or just like the kind of glitchy TV. Like Midjourney does that better than anyone. And Midjourney is the OG on this, right? I mean, before ChatGPT came out, their phenomenal model, Midjourney was by far the league leader. And I still love Midjourney, but the fact that they're now integrating these easy ways of making different styles into their product. By the way, this is going to seem very old hat, probably in a few months, but they are coming out with it first. But a couple of things on this, Jaden. First of all, I can't remember. Well, it must have been during the NBA Finals when I think that someone was probably using Gemini or something like that. I can't remember, but they made the commercial all AI,
Yep.
all in AI, which was a cool little story. But what he said, if you listen to what the designer said, was, "Yeah, look, it only took me $400 in 4 days or whatever." But he's like, but also I needed to understand what good looked like. And I think that this is a huge, huge lesson for AI. Like you see these videos like, I can do that, but you can't. I can't. Like, I work with, Robert Haslam is my colleague who's like this genius designer and Gen AI guy. But the reason that he handles all our stuff like this, among a lot of other things, is because he understands what good looks like. He has that designer's eye that I don't have. So these tools are awesome, and they can sort of. But I guess my point is that when we were first sort of discovering how good ChatGPT was at poetry, and then my dad, who's an actual poet, looked at it and he's like, "But this is trash." I'm like, right. So it democratizes everybody's ability to do that, which is super exciting. But Jaden, what do we make of the fact that, and by the way, now the timing of Disney's and Universal's
Exactly.
of their lawsuit now makes sense because they did references. They must have known it was about to come out. But what do we make of that? I mean, now it's out. I mean, now they're getting this giant lawsuit, and Disney doesn't lose lawsuits. So what do we make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. I would say Disney doesn't always win lawsuits. You remember that lawsuit where Disney was suing, or no, someone was suing Disney because I believe someone died of an allergy, and then Disney told them, "Look, when you signed up for Disney Plus, in there technically it says um, you can't sue us for like bodily death, and so since you died at like, or since the person died at
Right.
a Disney hotel, then because they had a Disney Plus subscription. Anyways, there's a big public outlash, and they kind of backed down from that, and they allowed them to sue for it. So I don't know. I think that Disney's probably going to win. You're right, in a way where they'll stop them from being able to generate images of Disney characters. I don't think that's too crazy. I think there's kind of the exact same thing happening with the music generators that I use, like Suno, where I can't get it to generate like a clone of Johnny Cash, even though I really wish it
Right.
could.
Right.
It could at the beginning. I used to be able to, and now there's no shot I can get it to do Johnny Cash voice impressions anymore. And so I think that it's probably going to be the same thing with Midjourney, where they'll just block certain names. I think they already block you from generating images of Xi Jinping, so it's not going to be that much different. They just put a big list of Disney characters in there, and then especially when they now have the video. So I think that'll be the ultimate outcome of that. Will people be able to find workarounds and be sneaky? Like, yes, but I think for the most part they'll kind of do their goodwill of being able to stop people from doing copyrighted content. It's going to be a pain in the butt though, because there's so much copyrights, and if Disney does it, then Universal and like every TV show and everything is going to try to get blocked or scrubbed. So
It's
it will
all
be
in, but
tricky.
but it's so interesting how it works, right? Because it's all in there. And so
Yeah.
when you ask it to create a prompt, it's sort of like when we used to mess around with DeepSeek and we would say, "Hey, tell me about Tiananmen Square," and it would start to answer, and then it would,
Yeah.
it would erase its answer and be like,
Yeah.
never mind. There's nothing to see here." I mean, so
Yeah.
all that information, you can't get the information out. And when Disney's suing for, it's going to be over $100 million or something like that. I'm just wondering what the end game is for a company like Midjourney. I mean, obviously they can't take down something like OpenAI. It's a Goliath, but something like Midjourney, which is big, huge. I mean, really in itself, but it doesn't have that many people still Midjourney working for it. It's an incredible technology. But I guess I just wonder, the same way I wondered about like, Napster and things like that. At some, like, Napster was taken down and it changed everything, sure, but it was taken down. And so I'm just wondering, I don't think Midjourney is too big to fail in this case. And these are the kind of companies that I'm wondering about, not the companies like, Otter AI, which is a great company, but now that everybody's starting to do record mode, Is Otter AI still getting a lot of customers? I don't know. That's a transcription.
Yeah.
That's a transcription company.
Yeah.
But something like Midjourney, there's a lot of other companies doing video.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and the other thing that's interesting is, I'm sitting here being like, "And Midjourney is always like it hits different. It's just always a little bit better." And like the dirty secret with Midjourney is the reason why is because
Yeah.
they put way more. They didn't care about the copyrighted
Right.
data that they put in there, so they have way more data in there. So yes, their product is a lot better than something coming out of OpenAI, who's got to be a lot more kind of careful on that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're right. It will affect them. I don't think they'll ever get taken down because there is a legal way, unlike Napster. There is a legal way forward for OpenAI. Have they, or for Midjourney? They have spent a lot of money training their model. I'm sure they have contingency kind of like backup plans. So I think they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to survive. They're not like completely out of it, but will they have to make some setbacks? Yes. What I think I see a lot of these AI companies doing, which is kind of interesting, and some people will love it, some people will hate it. It seems like they take in all the data that they know they're going to get in trouble for
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
other except for like Adobe kind of with Firefly always try to
Right.
do this
Right.
clean, but they'll take in everything they can, they'll push it as far as they can, as fast as they can, and they hope you see
That's right.
people like Sam Altman saying like we should get rid of IP law.
That's right.
And I think they're hoping then when it comes to lawsuit, yes, there's a lawsuit. They're going to try to slow roll the lawsuit and drag it out as long as possible and get their model as far ahead as possible as they possibly can. At some point, hopefully, I think their goal is, look, so many people use this, so many people love this. We've gotten as far as we possibly can, and it's a little bit more of a asking for forgiveness than permission kind of thing. And maybe they're going to try to hope to change some sort of laws or things. Now, will Disney roll over? No, Disney will
No.
fight tooth and nail to protect their IP, which makes perfect sense. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Okay, one thing I wanted to cover though, really quick, is what people's responses to this have been, and a couple interesting
Mhm.
anecdotes. So the first one is someone responded to those videos that I was talking about and said, "Some really awesome effects here. Did they take much prompt engineering, or did the still image do most of the work?" The guy that made them all, which is Christopher Friant, he said all of them are prompted. Using auto doesn't work at all well when the original image prompt is all over the place, like a lot of these are. So you still have to actually come up with good prompts when it comes to making the videos.
Exactly.
They don't just automatically generate. I thought that was kind of an interesting takeaway. Another one, someone said, "These are awesome. Those multiple TV screens, it used to take me hours to mask those out on After Effects to move independently." And then this person said, "It might do that if you prompt for it." So like there's actual videographers in here, or video editors saying like, "Oh my gosh, what you're doing is incredible. This would take hours." So it really does save a lot of time. I think that's an interesting part. And then the other interesting takeaway I got out of the comments was like, you still gotta come up with some good prompts. So professional videographers, I hate to break it to you, are probably going to be a lot better than your average person. Now, can anyone learn to be an amazing prompter with the video? Yes. But when it comes to these artistic things, it's a little bit different than Chat GPT, I think.
Totally.
It's your
Totally.
paintbrush. And so what paints are you using? What size is your brush? All of these will make a big difference when it comes to the
Jaden,
final
I
output.
could not agree more. I could not agree more. And this is the thing. This is why when people are like, oh, it's going to take the jobs of Hollywood people, I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could take, somebody who like really knows how to make a film could take my iPhone 16 and
Yep.
make an incredibly awesome thing. I have the iPhone 16. I have all the capabilities that I could do just like that person, but I don't have the vision. I don't know what that looks like. Robert,
Yep.
my colleague Robert Haslam, his prompts on these things are really detailed because he
Yep.
knows what he's asking for, and the output then is really detailed. Like we'll both be like, hey, create like a typewriter made out of shoes or something like that, but his will be like extraordinary and mine will be like janky. It's so don't give up on this. It's still like the human taste and human sort of like our vision
Yep.
is so critical to all this. I totally agree.
Yep, 100%. Hey, if you enjoyed the episode today, make sure to go check out the latest tools from Midjourney, and make sure to drop a rating and review on the podcast. It helps us out a ton. We read all of them. It warms our hearts. We just passed Father's Day, and the
Yes.
greatest joy in our life, next to our children, of course, giving us
Next to
cards
our
for
children.
Father's Day, was sitting down and reading all of your guys' comments and reviews over
And
on
next to
Apple
our
Podcasts.
wives. Next to our wives. Jaden, come
Next
on,
to
man.
our wives, they had
All right.
tears running down their eyes as
Tears.
they saw those as well. So we really do appreciate it. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you guys all next time.